we are doing a little bit of a deep dive into lore in the NWSL, some unique history that takes place. And it is so unique that it is a first-time thing that happened, and it has rarely been repeated when a goalkeeper scores. And that happened for the first time 10 years ago in the NWSL when Michelle Betos, a goalkeeper for the Portland Thorns, scored in a match against FC Kansas City. It was electric, an end of the game goal that happened. And instead of just us talking about it here on Attacking Third, we decided what better than to invite the one, the only Michelle Betos into the show to talk about it herself. So we've got her here. Michelle, what's up? Welcome into Attacking Third.
Thank you guys so much. I mean, I just actually am so grateful while I'm sitting here to think about the day that we would talk about NWSL history. You know, like 2015, like we're still praying like there's a league the next year, you know? And so now the fact that we're sitting here 10 years later and there's history in this league is really cool. So I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, it is really cool to think about that. And you were absolutely a pioneer of the league when it started, as it was so young, and making sure that it stayed around and that it is still around. So we have this history to talk about. And you're also part of this new wave of players that we're seeing retiring, but stay involved in the game on the coaching side of things. Because right now you're an assistant goalkeeper coach with Gotham FC. So tell us about the transition from playing to coaching and how you are now.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. I mean, honestly, so I retired, you know, technically last year and then unretired briefly this year when two of our goalkeepers got hurt. So it has been, you know,
a roller coaster. Got it.
More lore.
Yeah, debatable. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride, but it's honestly been so fun. You know, I think one of the blessings of getting, you know, that month back as a player was, you know, really knowing and being in the environment, knowing it was the last time, but also recognizing, okay, I'm done. And like, you know, people are asking me, oh, do you miss coaching? Do you miss playing? Like, what are you feeling? And I was like, I miss working with our goalkeepers. Like, I miss investing in them. Like, I was so grateful for the journey I had in this game, but I'm just in a place in my life where I'm just so grateful to help others along their journeys. And yeah, it's just been really rewarding process. We have 3 incredible goalkeepers, a really cool team to work with. So for me, it's been, yeah, just like a new dream come true. I'm a rookie, which is weird. Like I'm learning that, you know, I haven't been a rookie in a long time, haven't done something new for the first time in a long time. So definitely a learning curve, but yeah, it's honestly been so awesome.
You know, I'm curious about maybe some of the things you've learned at this level, because it's a little different coaching at a professional level than in other arenas. I know in that first decade of NWSL, it wasn't common to have conversations with players, and they would tell me about their side hustles, and some of that would be like coaching in youth clinics and things like that. And maybe what are some of the things that you find yourself learning, since you are a rookie now, and I guess in the coaching level, that you found maybe some differences in coaching at a pro level?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just the level of depth and detail we go into for everything. You know, I thought as a player when we had a morning meeting and then you had your IDP meetings and, you know, things like that, like, oh, wow, this is a lot of meetings. I always talk about the first day I came in. It was like the week before preseason started, and I showed up at 8 a.m. I was here till 5 p.m. and I was just in meetings the whole time. And I walked into my house like a zombie. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, first of all, I need to figure out when I'm going to move, because my job has been working out my whole life and my body's like so rigid because it feels like it needs to move. And my brain is fried. But it was also like invigorating because it was so fun to sit and think. And I'm also getting my master's in mental performance, applied sports psych. So I'm also working on the culture side here. So I was in a meeting about our goalkeepers. Then I'm in a meeting about, you know, defensive principles and set pieces. And then I'm talking about the club culture and how we're going to implement that with the players. And it was so fun to just use my brain in a different way, if that makes sense. And I think, like I was saying earlier, as a player, your job is how can I be the best every day? And it's a full-time job. It's 24 hours, but you're investing in yourself. That's your job. Of course, be a good teammate and things like that. But it was this quick flip of like, okay, my job every day is literally to make others better. And really going to the furthest lengths and the max details possible to do that. And, you know, working, especially with our goalkeepers, we have Anne, who everyone just saw at the Euros, what she's capable of. We've known who she is. And then we have Shelby, who's kind of, you know, in this mid-range of her career with still so much potential and so exciting. And then we have Ryan Campbell, who's a rookie and I think has like the world's in front of her. 3 different characters, 3 different places in their career. So really, how do we maximize everything for them? And then, you know, looking at the culture side, how do we make this the best place to be for these players, where they're feeling invested in and growing every day, invested in something bigger than themselves. So yeah, for me, it just was kind of like a switch in my brain, is just, how do I help others? How do I invest in them? And it's honestly, I think it's probably more true to my nature. I really enjoy that process. So yeah, it's definitely been a lot of work, a lot of meetings, more meetings than I've ever could have imagined. But it's been so fun, because it's, all things I'm really passionate about.
One of the most dramatic things in NWSL history happened 10 years ago, June 20th, 2015, when Michelle Betos, you became the first goalkeeper in NWSL history to score a goal. It was a 95th minute equalizer when you headed in a corner kick. It absolutely chaos in this game, because the clock was winding down. There was a series of corner kicks that happened, but let's set the scene for everyone. When you think back to that game prior to stoppage time, when these corner kicks happened for Portland Thorns, what was the flow of the game? Because you're in goal at this point, you're being a goalkeeper, trying to keep the ball at the back of the net. What do you remember about the 90-minute regulation?
I just remember, I think, you touched on it a bit, like I'm a competitor. I want to win. I think, everyone at this level is. I don't think you get here without that. But I just remember looking at the sideline, looking at the coach and being like, can I go up? And he actually just like rolled his eyes. He's frustrated we were losing, and, yeah, whatever, like, go up. And I never in my mind was like, oh, I'm going up and I'm scoring a goal. It was just this logical, like, we need to score a goal. Everyone needs to go up. So that really was it. It wasn't like, oh, I feel something special coming or something. I just was like, we need to score. The time is clicking out, and can I go up? Can I go help? Can I go help my team in whatever way I can? So that really was the beginning of it. Yeah. And, so many people have asked me, like, what were you thinking? What were you, whatever. And I didn't even know what happened until I watched it. The only way I knew I scored, like, for me, it's like, okay, I go up, corner comes in. Oh no. I'm like, is it another corner or is it a goal kick? Okay, it's corner again. Cause I'm like, oh, I got to run back and I'm not fast. So I stay there, and then I hit the ground. Like, I remember the corner happening, and then I hit the ground and I look up and I see Sinead's face. And yeah, it's crazy. I see Sinead's face first. I look up at the ground and she's like celebrating, like she looks shocked. So I look at Sinead, I look at the ball, I look at the ref, and I'm like, holy, the word that follows, like, did we just score? Did I just score? And then immediately, as you can see from my poor celebrations, I'm like, guys, we got to get back. And Allie Long is pulling me back on the neck, like by my neck at one point, just like, where? And I remember saying, where are you going? And I'm saying, there you go. And I'm like, we have to get back. We have, and they're like, no, we don't. You scored. And I like couldn't understand it, like could not understand it at all. And just was adamant that we needed to go protect the goal. And that was all I could focus on. And I think the thing that nobody remembers from that is off kickoff, Kansas City hits the crossbar. Like, and so I'm like, guys, I told you we have to focus. Like, and then it goes, like, hits crossbar, goes out, and then the game ends. And then I think I just fell to the ground and there was like a dog pile, but I was like, very much still in goalkeeper mode. Like, I couldn't understand it. And then, talking to the commentators after the game, they're like, walk me through this. And I was like, I don't know. I prayed and then I don't know. So like, you tell me.
10 years later, she still doesn't know.
Yeah. I love you recounting that whole story. I got the long sleeve, so you can't see the goosebumps, but it's like yesterday for some of the old heads who've been around, right? Like, I mean, and this is like, what people don't realize, because Michelle, you're 100% correct. We got to keep the history. We can't lose the lore. The kids got to know, where they came from to know where they're going. But it's crazy because even hearing you recount this match, it's like, this is like so long ago that like games were still on YouTube. Like the Lifetime deal wasn't even like a sniff quite yet, and then, the other broadcasters like us at CBS or Prime Video, ESPN, like weren't even like a thought at that time. Like, so it's wild to think about then, and even like seeing some of the reactions in the YouTube comments to such a huge moment, and the little things like constantly staying locked in as a goalkeeper, having to go back the other way because you're noting the fact that they hit the post.
The details that it was a diving header. Like, it
Yes.
was a great goal.
Yeah, not just any goal. And like, history's there so that you don't repeat it, but it's kind of cool that many years later, another Thorns keeper was able to kind of repeat a little bit of that history. But we're talking a huge gap of time from when you nailed this to when Bella Bixby went ahead and got a game winner against Angel City. And I guess like maybe that's where we close a little bit, Lisa, is just sort of like getting your perspective, Michelle, on kind of where the league was at that point to where it is now and where you would like to see it go.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, first of all, after that game, I was walking around, looking at the fans. It was insane. My mom was in the crowd, and, the Riveters at the time were like tackling her. After the game, I was calling her. She's already 3 shots in. My mom doesn't really drink. She's like, they took me to the bar, like, meet me at the, I'm like, what? Like, what is going on? She's like, the fans took me. So she's like been shipped off to a bar to celebrate. And like, this is like, I have not seen my mom drink in my lifetime. So I'm like, what's going on? But I'm walking around the stadium, like taking it all in. The fans are electric. And like you said, at that time, Portland was the only place where you're seeing 20,000 people in the stands. That at that time is when I think you felt most like a pro playing at Portland, seeing those fans. So walking around, and Allie Long is like, you're going to be on Sports Center. And I'm laughing at her because I'm like, no, this is the NWSL. Like, we don't get on Sports Center. Like, what we do doesn't. But like, it was on Sports Center. It was top 2, and my mom's a huge Yankees fan, and she was like, oh, Alex Rodriguez was #1 with the home runs, but whatever. But like, to me, that was so special. Like, to be totally honest, all the people that know me, like, I hate goals. Like, I'm a goalkeeper. I've trained my whole life to keep the ball out of the back of the net. And the thing people talk about the most when they talk about me is my goal. But like, for me, it was more about how much it meant to other people. Like, what it meant, the amount of people that were like, that was my first time at an NWSL game. That's the first time I ever watched the NWSL. Like, does this happen every week? And I'm like, yeah, just keep watching, like, I'm sure, So that was just so cool for that time, even just for that blip on Sports Center, for somebody to see the NWSL, like, not about me, but about this league where incredible women were doing incredible things that just weren't being as celebrated at that time. And it's funny because Bella trained with me while I was at Portland. She was a college kid. So like, little Bella Bixby, she's never really been little. I think she's like 6'1", but was training with me then. And so then when she scored it, I was just like, this is so cool. I mean, first of all, obviously, again, for it to be at Portland and knowing what those fans, bring to that environment and have from day one was so special. But it was really cool that it was Bella, and I was texting her after the game, and I was just like, I'm like so proud of you, but this is just crazy. But just, seeing what that did for the league then. And, like you've said, like, the league has just come so far. And in that moment, like, I could have never known that we were talking about the NWSL history. I didn't know that could be part of NWSL history because we didn't know there would be one, so it's just been such a rewarding process year in and year out to see the growth of the league, to CBS and everybody, like, the world is looking at us, and now, week in and week out, it is global news that Trinity scored a game winner last week. It's global news when these girls do things because that's what it deserves to be. And I think it always deserved that, but now's the time. But I do think the women I played with at that time were the reason that the girls now get to do what they do, because we stuck it out, because, during the hardest times, like, our biggest driver was that this thing would still be around, that the players coming, I mean, there's so many players now in the environment that, like, had posters of like, we have a player in our team now who had a poster of Rose on her, on her wall. Like, it's just, they grew up watching this league. And I think McCall said this, but like, that's why I think part of why you see these young kids killing it at such a young age, because they've seen their dreams in front of them this whole time. They week in and week out, they could watch this, they could see their dreams, they could understand what it takes, and they could go train for it. Like, when I was 8, I was trying to do moves like the WNBA because that's all I knew as a stable professional league, so it's been incredible. And honestly, every game day, every, leap that we take forward is just so rewarding for me. And I think from all the veterans, some that are still in the league and some that, have recently retired, but it was just so cool. And the fact that it doesn't take a goalkeeper scoring for this to be public news, right? To be big news. It's like, people are being celebrated for what they're paid to do, you know, not just the extraordinary or crazy moments. But yeah, it's just been so cool, and I'm grateful to be a small part of it.